All right, we are live for a Friday edition of the Mike and Mario show. Excited to be back, and of course, we have more than enough stuff to talk about, Mario. But first of
Yeah,
all, how you doing, my friend?
I'm doing well. And you, Mike?
I'm not bad at all. It's Friday, and looking forward to trying to unplug as best I can and enjoy this weekend coming up before we get back at it again and come next week with more interesting stories that will develop. But other than that, it is what it is. But the most important thing I would assume would be the current precious metal situation, my friend. What's your assessment on yesterday's silver as well as gold? But a lot of people on my side were excited about silver. But what's your thoughts, man? What happened yesterday, man?
Yeah, gold and silver started dropping way a few hours before the retail sales number,
Yeah,
and then that number came out better than expected, and they drove it even further down. I think it's just the paper market.
hmm
I made a video today about gold and silver and why it dropped so much, and I think it's just the same old game of trying to keep the general public away from
yeah,
physical gold and silver, or from gold and silver at all, because gold and silver are the anti-dollar. So, but I'm not concerned. Um, I don't see anything changing. And I saw some headlines yesterday saying, "Oh, the dollar rallied. The U.S. economy is doing well now, so gold and silver dropped." But if the U.S. economy is doing so well, why are interest rates at zero?
yeah,
Why is the Fed still doing QE, even though they're saying they're gonna taper? But tapering doesn't mean that they're gonna stop doing QE. They're just gonna do less.
yeah,
So fundamentally, things are still really bad. And underneath the surface, uh, I think there's a lot of weakness in the economy. Recently, we saw a few weeks ago, the first Friday of the month, a non-farm payroll came a lot, like 500,000 less than expected, and then gold actually rallied that day,
yeah,
and then the next week they bashed it again. So I'm not concerned. I just try to keep stacking,
yeah, yeah,
and I look at it more as savings, not
yeah,
an investment. Of course, mining shares are something different. I have some, and I'm sitting on a pretty big drawdown right now, but I'm
yeah,
not concerned over the
yeah.
long term. Uh, some people are mentioning talking about uranium, but it's not something I cover. I just try to cover precious metals and maybe the general markets.
Yeah.
I'm not here to advise people on investments. I, I try to like tell people about what money is and what I think gold and
Mhm.
silver will do for people.
Right, right. So just basically stick to the fundamentals of a
Yeah,
historical aspect of gold and silver as far as being a actual money in itself. And so I agree
yeah,
with that. And so I know a lot of people who are probably newer to the quote unquote silver stacking community. Initially came into this game, or not this game, into this whole idea of accumulating metals because A, it's protection, but when everything collapses, I'm going to get rich. I'm going to be, my stack is going to, triple X, 10X and all that stuff like that, to where it's like, okay, those intentions would do not serve you well, because it's going to be a long game. Like this manipulation is, several decades, borderline century old when it comes to silver in particular. And so you got to have some very strong hands and be able to ride this thing out, because we know where it's heading, because they won't stop
yeah.
printing.
I saw some comments in my video today, and someone said that they've been trying to buy physical silver the last few days,
Yeah.
and that apparently Andy Scheckman from Miles Franklin said he was buried in business,
hmm
people buying. And I heard that Atkinson's Bullion, which is a big bullion dealer here in the UK, they don't have any like silver 1 ounce coins to sell,
Really.
and they've run out. So it's the same old, same old. I think eventually the bullion banks will go long the metals.
Yeah.
Right now, they're still playing games, but and I think the inflation situation is not going to get better.
Right.
We've got a lot of stories here,
Yeah.
especially in Europe, about natural gas. and how it doesn't just affect utility prices like electricity for consumers and industry, but we're also seeing how actually natural gas affects the price of food
Yeah.
and fertilizers. And the byproduct of these fertilizers is actually carbon dioxide, which is used to make soda pops or fizzy drinks, as they call it here.
Yeah.
It's used for it's to do with the meat, food packaging. So you just have to look at the natural gas prices gone through the roof recently,
Yeah.
and we're seeing oil price as well. Crude oil dropped to around 62 a few weeks ago or so, or a month. I don't remember exactly, but now we're right back up to 72. But
Yeah,
yeah, there you
I
go.
saw
I
this
mean,
this chart here about your natural gas, and this is crazy, man. So I saw
yeah,
something about a fire threatened the power line or something I read about it. What's
yeah, that happened yesterday.
uh-huh.
That threatened the power line from because France has a lot of nuclear energy. They create, they generate a lot of nuclear energy, and we
Yeah,
buy in the UK a lot of their electricity. And I think one of the processing plants uh, in the UK, there's a fire there, so it stopped a lot of the electricity coming through from France.
yeah,
But that's not what made that chart go up there. That's
yeah,
been happening already for the last few weeks. Those prices,
yeah,
and I think they're trying to move from fossil fuels to renewables, which is like solar and wind energy.
yeah.
But that will take years
Right.
to be able to depend on that. And apparently, this year we've had very little wind,
Mhm.
so we haven't been able to generate as much electricity from that.
Yeah. Then was it? I think was it you a week or so ago, or I may have read an article said that the UK is looking to fire up the coal plants again or something like that.
Yeah, because they don't have, and they did that this past winter in Germany because Germany, after Fukushima, they just stopped all their nuclear
Hmm.
power, and they've built a lot of renewables, wind and solar.
Yeah.
But this winter, uh, it was so cold that a lot of their wind turbines froze, so they had to use oil, fossil,
Yeah.
they had to use fossil fuels to power again. They had to revert back to oil or coal. So
Yeah, it's going to be a cold winter, man. So it's just like the UK is just going through so much right now, as well as every other nation. But it's just
yeah,
noticeable how you guys are they're trying to do something
and I think also I saw something. I don't think I sent you this article, but I saw a head of a shipping company saying that if you think container rates, for shipping stuff around the world have gone up,
uh-huh.
just wait, because he thinks that they're going to go even more parabolic. I think they've gone from around $900 to ship across, from
Hmm.
Europe to the US to
Yeah.
like 10, 11,000. He thinks it could go even higher. So the whole I think, they tell us that it's to do with all the lockdowns and everything, but that excuse is running thin. I
Yeah.
think it's more to do with the fact that our economies are basically imploding, and
Yeah.
the money is no good.
Yeah.
They printed all the money,
Right.
but we don't have the infrastructure to produce anything. And the Chinese are probably not being able to cope because they have their own demand.
Yeah.
And
I think it was I'm not sure which commentator it was a while back mentioned that we might get to some point where all the manufacturing companies will no longer perhaps accept fiat currencies or dollars for trade. And so like right here in the US, I'm hearing over in California, we have a large amount of shipping containers at the port just not docking. It's just for whatever reason they're parked there. And of course, they're trying to make it seem like, due to, lack of labor to help unload it, whatever. But it might be a situation where people are not really wanting to accept dollars anymore. And that could be a definite game changer. So if it's not happening now, it's going to be happening sometime soon.
and the truck drivers as well, or as
Yeah.
they call them in the UK, HGV drivers or lorry drivers. There's a shortage in the UK.
Mhm.
There's a shortage in Europe and on the continent, and there's a shortage in the US. And I think it's because truck drivers, yeah, they're not earning enough,
Yeah,
and it's not worth putting their lives at risk and doing that hard, tough job. I think
yeah.
it's a tough job. I guess Bitcoin Ben could tell us about it.
Mr. Ben. All right, so watch this. Let's try to get through as many articles as we can, and then we'll open up the mic and see if we get some calls in or get some questions. And so this entire week, every little live stream I've done has been geared towards all eyes on China. And so the first article here, let me pull it up here, talks about China, and says it's not too big to fail. And so it looks like they're now starting to try to unload some of their properties by giving people a chance at either receiving nothing or receiving discounted property for whatever that's worth. So it's like, do you want pennies on a dollar, or do you want some type of structure, tell it what condition it is or what? But is this Evergrande situation, you think, the Lehman 2.0, or is it that much greater, or what? What's your assessment on this, man?
I've done a little bit of reading about it and listened to some people.
Yeah.
I'm not an expert on China nor Evergrande,
Right.
but from what I hear, the problem, the big problem is for some foreign investors,
Mhm.
like because this company issued dollar bonds,
Yeah.
and their bonds were like junk bonds. They're
Yeah.
they're yielding like 10%.
Mhm.
So people thought, oh, the Chinese government will never let these bonds fail.
Yeah.
So and I think it's only about $7 or $8 billion worth.
Yeah.
I say only, but it's not that much in this day and age, 7-8 billion.
Yeah.
So the Chinese government could allow the bondholders, especially if they're foreign, to bite the dust. They
Yeah.
don't care. And
Yeah.
then you have, I think, 200 to 300 billion, and that's not debt. Those are
Mhm.
liabilities that they have against their cash flow and assets. Yeah, they could allow that company to fail.
Mhm.
And I think the Chinese government, from what I hear, could help the people who actually own the homes
Yeah.
or the apartments. They
About
will help people
70,000.
out.
About
Yeah,
70,000 individuals or something like that.
I would say it's probably a lot more, but
I think
I
as
don't
far as the
know.
people who are storming, just some articles I've read, as far as people who are at the Evergrande headquarters and people who
Oh,
are
I
expecting
see.
delivery of some immediate type of
Yeah.
housing that they were promised, I think it's about 70,000.
Oh, I see. But I think they're quite big in China.
Oh, yeah.
Other people live there, and maybe, but I think the Chinese government is probably, because from what I hear from other analysts, is that the Chinese government has been trying to crack down on the housing bubble
Mhm.
there for the last couple of years. So
Yeah.
they're probably, people say, oh, the Chinese don't let people demonstrate or anything.
Yeah.
So I actually think they're happy with the people demonstrating and protesting against the company.
Yeah.
Um, and so, yeah, I think the bondholders, foreign bondholders, could have problems.
Yeah.
Uh, and maybe the whole and I think what they'll do if this company goes bust in China,
Mhm.
they'll just reorganize it. They'll
Yeah.
take some state institutions will take over it. And but I think the Chinese are actually I'm not defending the Chinese government,
Mhm.
but they're trying to tamp down on the speculation,
Yeah.
actually.
Yeah.
So
I agree. And also, I saw an article I talked about earlier how they're cracking out on the entertainment sector as far as the casinos and all the businesses within their country which have foreign interests invested directly. They're trying to reshuffle some things for, I guess, whatever their
yeah,
next agenda will
yeah,
be. But my concern with the whole Evergrande is the spillover. And so, of course, it,
yeah.
it, it might be relatively calm because the Chinese can handle it in their own borders. But for all the foreign investors, as you mentioned before, how all that's owed to somebody else. So it's just
Yeah,
going to
but
trickle.
I think it's just only about 7
Yeah.
billion dollars. So, but the Lehman crisis, we didn't know how much they had in over-the-counter derivatives
Hmm.
and all the other counterparties they have. I don't think Evergrande is involved in over-the-counter derivatives.
Yeah.
I think that would have been cracked down by the Chinese authorities or regulators
Yeah.
already. So I think it's different than Lehman.
Yeah.
Really, I don't think you can compare it.
Yeah.
I'm sure a lot of the China bashers, and I'm not a defender of China, I'm apolitical,
Yeah.
are probably trying to hype this up. Oh, this is the new Lehman. And yesterday, I think, was the anniversary of the Lehman collapse. So they're trying to like make it
Yeah. What
seem
a
like,
coincidence, huh? So someone says lots of people in China and Australia have large amounts of cash involved. There's lots of news down under here. So yeah, it's definitely going to be talked about for some time. We'll see how it unfolds, man. But China's doing a
yeah,
lot of things right now. And so this response to the AUKUS or the UK Australia situation, I was wondering why now? Why did the US and UK and Australia decide to partner up to form a security pact unless they're planning on pissing China off and all their stuff
yeah,
and
yeah.
taking us to some type of military conflict, which seems inevitable because they're gonna step on somebody's toes at the wrong time, and it's gonna be hard
Yeah.
not to respond. I think. What are your thoughts on this, man?
Well, my money is not on the US, UK, and Australia against China, because we couldn't even defeat the Taliban for
Uh-huh.
20 years in Afghanistan. So how are we gonna like defeat China? The
Yeah.
other thing I would say, it's interesting that it's Australia, UK, and US,
Hmm.
uh, and you look at what's going on in Australia right now, it's quite outrageous what
Yeah.
they're doing to the population there. You
Yeah.
look at what they're doing here to the population, and you look at what the US is doing to their population, the federal government. You
Hmm.
look at Sleepy Joe's speech last week.
Mm.
Uh,
All the
so
speeches.
this is just when they have trouble domestically, they create like an enemy abroad so that
Hmm.
people will rally behind them, because people are not behind people are not behind. I think Joe Biden's approval rate is like at 38.
Yeah. Yeah.
Boris Johnson, people are pissed off with him because he's raised taxes that is going to hurt like the working class,
Hmm.
the poorer people. In Australia, of course, they're acting like fascists over there with their people. So they're trying to. I think this is all to do. It's all kabuki theater,
Yeah.
and I think the Chinese probably don't mind that either.
Yeah.
They've come out now and they're saying we're going to join the CTTP.
Yeah.
Um, it, it's just for public consumption. I think what we need to focus on is the fact that our economies are in trouble, and that we're going to continue to get inflation, that we need to tighten our belts,
Hmm.
try to stack as much as possible if you can. Yeah.
Yeah. So I would assume, just to piggyback what you're saying, how a lot of this is a distraction, man. And of course, the U.S. and the UK and Australia, as I mentioned, like whoever's pulling the strings, it definitely didn't come from the United States of America, because everybody know at this point that all these politicians are bought and paid for. But whoever's pulling these strings are looking for a conflict, as always. It's that create a problem so they can come up with a solution. And I wonder how much of this has to do with the idea that China is eventually going to continue to encroach upon Taiwan or whatnot. But I would assume it has something to do with that. But yeah, just more stuff to keep us distracted over here and over there, man, because we got so
Yeah,
many issues happening.
and they could even start a war
Yeah,
amongst each other, which would be really good for the mega rich, for the defense companies, not only in the US and UK and Australia, but in China as well.
yeah,
Um, and then you destroy loads of stuff, and then you have an excuse to start from scratch.
yeah.
And then you redraw the board, the game board, the currency and everything, because that happens every
Hmm.
time there's a war. So it's a great excuse. And it seems weird that I say they'll do that, organize a war.
Yeah.
But if you look at World War II, the major warring countries,
Hmm.
the Axis and the Allies, they were all doing business at the Bank for International Settlements, financing everything.
Yeah.
So, but I hope
Goodness.
there isn't a kinetic war.
Yeah.
I think we're already at war,
Yeah.
and they're fighting the general public.
Right.
And the war started last year, of course, and according to the World Bank, it's going to go on until 2025, unless
Yeah.
unless something happens and Cliff High is right.
Yeah. Unless there's some type of outright awakening period for the masses. And so I think you shared a video yesterday about some guy in Australia who was telling his fellow Australians, if I'm not saying that, or fellow mates about the next couple of months they're gonna hear all types of crazy, absurd, and just completely out there stories. But don't be alarmed. I mean, well, be prepared for that basically, because we're going to hear so much stuff that will cause a shock that could be the awakening moment for humanity. So hopefully
that
is true.
guy's he's a politician over there, Ricardo Bosi, I think.
Yeah,
it was quite. I don't really know what he meant. Maybe he means that a lot of truth is going to come out, and
right.
the people in charge are going to be in trouble. Hopefully, low blood pressure is asking Mario or Mike, have we ever been to China?
I have not. I've never gone. Nope, I've never made it over there.
I was in Hong Kong, but when I was about 9 or 10 years old. So, and that was not part of China at the time. So I've never been to China. I wouldn't mind going to China. I think it's. I think we get a lot of bad press about China and Russia.
Yeah.
So that's why I'd like to go to those two countries, because I think the mainstream media in the UK and the US, they paint a really bad picture, and it's probably a lot better. But unfortunately, right now, it's really tough to go anywhere.
Right. Right. Just like here in the U.S., they tell us, everything below the border towards Mexico and beneath is extremely dangerous, which, it's stuff to be concerned with, but it's nowhere near as bad as they would make us.
I heard Minneapolis is really dangerous these days. One of my viewers sent an article about North Minneapolis being like a war zone these days.
Yeah. So once again,
and also Chicago, people getting shot every weekend, and
that's been going on for decades. Just like what you might hear about Detroit. Detroit was supposed to be like number 1 or 2 in the world a while ago, which it was bad. It is bad still, but just where to go, where not to go. Mind your own business, you're fine. I'm sure that's what everywhere. So here's a super chat from Chris. Appreciate you, my man. It says, when the USD collapses and the US government gets desperate, what are the chances they will confiscate all IRAs and 401ks to shore up their books? How will general populations react? Whoa, well, if they got that desperate, the general public would definitely be pissed. I don't think that's in their plans to do that. They just want to inflate it away. I think that'll save them the headache.
They could do that. They could do that because they could say, we're going to swap all your stocks for government bonds. So instead of holding a portfolio of tech stocks or whatever, you're going to hold U.S. Treasuries. They did that in Poland a few years ago. They basically, or they could force people to, let's say, I don't know how it works. Every month you put a little bit aside into your 401k, and they're going to say, oh, you have to put at least 25% into U.S. Treasuries. So that's how they could force you to do that. They could also basically do equity for bond swap. They could swap all your equities into treasuries. Yeah, it's possible.
They tried that concept a while ago to incentivize people, and that was the whole Myra, which I think was under the Obama administration, if I'm not mistaken, where they're trying to incentivize people to invest in government debt for long-term security, and trying to sell it to people as like, this is a way to get ahead. Like, by investing in the government, we guarantee a certain amount of, income, this and that, whatever. So when I saw that right there made me think about the fact how they could try to sell it first and then if it doesn't work, they can then confiscate or just automatically redirect things towards that and say, don't worry, it's FICDCP, give you some acronym, and it's approved. You're going to guarantee to get it, but we need those funds right now. So, but we'll see. But I think right now there's a lot more at stake of people actually having their funds confiscated directly, other than like just flat out losing it, because this monetary experiment is coming to a screeching halt pretty soon, I think, with the amount of stimulus they can try to bring out. But we'll see. Anyway, we got more stories here as always. So feel free to throw out a topic or whatnot, and we'll definitely touch on it and make it work from there. But here's another little issue here, Mario, that will not get talked about, and it's what's happening on our border here. And so this is Ted Cruz, who was at the board, I guess, yesterday or something like that, talking about how many migrants are down there, and nothing's been done. And they're, other than, I think Governor Abbott closed the borders, and then within a couple of hours later, he opened it back up for whatever reason. So,
I read about that. He closed a few check.
About 6 or so,
like 6, and he actually got a request from the Federal Border Patrol for help, because so you've got like the federal government, Uncle Sam, going out to the South China Sea and saber rattling against China, but they can't even keep the border.
Right.
The federal border agents have to ask the state of Texas for help.
Yeah.
So
that's bad, man. So
it's just,
it goes to show you what the real agenda is, and it has nothing to do with.
Here's the same thing. We've got like a friend, and people coming in big dinghies across the channel and landing on beaches and just walking into the country here, and nothing's being done. So the same thing is happening here. They're letting these they're not refugees, they're just migrants coming from France. It's France's fault as well for letting them come through. And we can't even like organize a withdrawal from a country that we've been in for 20 years. And now we're supposed to like go defeat China, but we can't even keep the border between Texas and Mexico properly, and we can't keep the coast, the south coast of England safe. It's ridiculous.
It doesn't make any sense. I don't think it's meant to make sense. So they're literally, and I always talked about for years, the whole goal is to destabilize, the local economy by any means necessary. And they need and always want more people coming in. So it puts them meaning the whole Democratic, Build Back Better program, people in favor of come election time.
And I don't have anything against people trying to go to another country to have a better life.
Right.
Even though a lot of them come only for the benefits,
correct,
because we have a welfare state. But it's exactly what happened in Rome. The barbarians, the Vandals. Rome just swamped by all different kinds of people, and then it just imploded. The Roman culture went. Not saying that it was perfect culture. But
it was established, and so that's one of my concerns as well with all the Afghanistan migrants just being displaced and dispersed. I think here in Detroit, I saw something about, it says 1,300 people will be resettled here. I'm thinking like, how, where? We got our own issue. Like, how can you we got a lot of vacant houses, but you can, I guess, give them some funds and let them build the houses up. But I don't know, man. But here's another question. I'm curious to get your thoughts on. It says, can we both get your thoughts on stable coins and the potential in the U.S. and other countries? So Gensler and the hearing committee talked recently about needing to address stable coins because they pose a risk to the American economy, and they gave two primary reasons. One was that they're afraid that the lack of clarity around stable coins, people can use them for whatever purposes. And then also with the crypto market, it can lead to a mass sell-off, which can also destabilize the economy as well. So more pushback or more of a framework they need to sell on how they want cryptocurrency to be used and taxed and everything else. Or what are your thoughts?
Well, I think the stable coin I know a bit about is Tether. And Tether was supposed to have a 1-to-1 backing. For every tether, you had to have $1 backing. But I think it's only 3% backing. So it is a stable coin in that it's pegged to another
basket
Ponzi
of
coin.
assets.
No, but it's pegged to another Ponzi currency called the US dollar.
Yeah.
So Gensler forgot to say that the US dollar, or the Federal Reserve note, is also another threat.
Yeah.
Because it's fractional reserve. That's what it is. And I think it's a threat to the cryptocurrency market, because the cryptocurrency market, Bitcoin is supposed to have a limited supply, and it does, of Bitcoins.
Yeah.
But when you can create tethers out of thin air,
Yeah.
you're going to be able to buy you can chase the price of Bitcoin higher, and all the other cryptocurrencies. And I'm not saying cryptos are going to crash here. I think they're going to go higher still. But it could be very risky. But what Mr. Gensler forgets to say is that it's just like the US dollar.
Yeah, and they'll never say that, because it's supposed to be the most trusted and confident backed and all that other crap. So here's another question here from One Punch. It says, how many banks do you guys think Evergrande can wipe out at once if they go, the China government says no to bailout? How many banks?
I don't know. Really. I don't know much about the Chinese banking system, but I think, and that, they have about $300 billion in liabilities. So I don't know how it's spread amongst Chinese banks, but as per foreign banks like US or European banks, I don't think it will be a problem.
Yeah.
But and the Chinese banks, they can probably the Chinese government can probably patch things up. I don't know. But you could have, the Chinese do allow banks to fail, and they do allow other companies to go bust. So yeah, you might see company, but they could be smaller banks. Who knows?
Yeah. I think along the way, like some of the hedge funds and all those other venture capitalists that probably have funds in there, that's probably where the most risk might fall upon those guys, because they were speculating from jump on even investing or doing business with Evergrande. Because I saw a video that somebody, I think it was a couple years ago, I'm not sure where I saw it, but it was saying that somebody a couple years ago was calling Evergrande one of the biggest Ponzi schemes that the government let grow. And so it was, they knew that there was going to be issues down the line, but yet they let it grow anyway. So, there's a lot of people out there who are literally just riding a coattail, trying to make profits off of this current easing policy that everybody was doing. If China was easing, the US easing, just jump on board, make money.
Yeah, I remember, I think it was in the early 2000s when Argentina went bust. One of the many times it went bust, and loads of Italian investors were invested there because the yields are so high, and they lost a lot of money.
Yeah.
And then again, 2-3 years ago, the same thing happened.
Yeah.
And people never learn. I would say that it's the West, the Europe, the US, and the UK that have been doing the wrong thing since 2008.
Yeah.
They've been bailing out the bondholders. And it would be great to see the Chinese government let it fail.
Yeah, I would agree. Let it fail and let the dominoes fall where they may. And of course, it might spill out, but yet that's a good thing. But then here's the other thing, that if it spills out and becomes more of a problem that disrupts the Western's time frame of events they want to unfold, then the Federal Reserve might jump in, and tapering might turn into, we need, due to the events that are happening in China, we were on a pace to recover. But so now we got to come in and buy extra $80 billion worth of mortgage-backed securities.
Yeah,
and of course, those be fun enough. Well,
yeah, it could spill over into our markets. Who knows? We'll have to see.
Here's something. I saw something about low blood pressure mentioned about Mario. Have you heard Rafi Faber explanation video why Bitcoin is not money?
No, I haven't yet. But yeah, I haven't listened to that one. He has a new YouTube channel, Rafi.
Another question says, any thoughts on quantum computers made out of 100% pure gold and heaps? I mean, lots of it. How would that affect inventory and price, future computers? I never heard of quantum computers made up of heaps of gold. I'm sure they got
Yeah,
a variety of metals.
the only thing to do with quantum computers that I've read and heard about is
Mhm,
that it would be able to break the cryptocurrency code for Bitcoin,
mhm.
and it could affect Bitcoin.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure what the gold has to do with it.
Right. Yeah. Ain't me either. And I'm extremely not confident. I'm not. I don't say this to, out of excitement, but between artificial intelligence and quantum computers, I'd imagine that the orchestrator of this entire experience have factored that in. That down the line, they'll be able to contain all that so-called decentralized stuff and get
Mm.
their way of the CBDCs. Because I don't see how one way or another, if this stuff continues to progress the way that it does or the way that it is currently, that CBDC stuff will not be rolled out effectively and people will run to it
Yeah.
because that'll be the preferred and chosen based upon what they want. So we will see. But on another story here, have you the banking stuff here that's happening with a part of that 10,000 page little bill that they're trying to pass in the budget bill, that 3.5 trillion. It's the whole restructuring of the lack of privacy in banking and how anybody with $600 above, what comes in and out of your accounts will be reported in real time to the IRS, and how that's going to literally change the way people do transactions. And it's going to further destroy entrepreneurs, self-employed, small businesses, because the IRS will more than likely come after anybody where $1 is not accounted for or unaccounted for or something like that. So the idea of banking is being redone right now.
And there's many people who argue that the IRS is not constitutional, nor
Yeah.
the income tax. So
Yeah. So we'll see. And then also I saw the article you talked about hoarding cash in the UK is no longer going to be a good thing.
yeah, like the watchdog, that's like the equivalent of the SEC.
Uh-huh.
They're trying to push people to get out of cash and invest their cash in the stock market. So you can see that will end well.
Yeah.
I'm sure they won't tell them to like put their cash into gold. That's for sure.
Yeah. Never
You've
that.
got another super chat. Yeah.
Chris says, could the Fed conceivably print up money out of thin air, give it to the Treasury, who in turn would turn around and buy gold with it? I think anything's possible, but I don't see them buying gold, because that'll definitely drive the price up, and they don't want people to get excited and run towards gold. So I
Well,
don't. Yeah.
I guess the only reason that would happen
Hmm.
is if they knew the dollar was like doomed,
Hmm.
and then we have to go, and the US has to go back on some kind of gold footing. Of
Yeah.
course, they can print as much as they want and buy as much gold as they want, but it will
Yeah.
be at a lot higher price. And and the other thing about it is that there could still be the 8,300 tons in Fort Knox, but it could have been leased out hundreds of times over in the
Hmm.
LBMA in London.
Yeah.
So they'd have to cover do a massive short cover to claim back that physical gold, and
Hmm.
that could drive the price who knows where to. So yeah, they could definitely do that, Chris.
That's that Jim Sinclair, $40,000-$50,000 an ounce type
Yeah,
numbers.
yeah. Because I think they probably have some gold,
Mhm.
probably in Fort Knox, but a lot of it is probably encumbered, or they've lent it out.
Yeah, interesting, man. That's where the whole gold situation in Fort Knox, and so there's been, of course, people, nothing confirmed, saying that they've seen, trucks coming in high but leaving low, as if they were taking out something. So I don't know about that, but yeah, I mean, time will tell, man. I think we will be called out eventually.
Or
Uh,
coming in low, coming in low, yeah, coming in high and leaving
Coming
low.
in
Yeah,
high, leaving low, meaning they were
yeah,
sitting some
yeah, yeah,
tonnage.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Taking out some tonnage. Let's open up the phone lines real quick. We go a couple more minutes, and let's see if we get some calls in. People want to share some thoughts, and so let's take some calls if anybody has anything they want to share. I think we haven't done that in a while, man. But anyway, if you guys enjoying the live stream, hit the thumbs up button, show your support for the channel there, and then make sure you check out Manico64. And let me see, I saw some more thoughts out here. Also, it looks like there might be a case for us to go back to that art of the Fed narrative with the whole insider trading stuff that's taking place at the Federal Reserve. So it looks like Powell is launching an investigation or something in-house.
Yeah, yeah, that's going to be a really thorough investigation. Not it's
Yeah.
more like a whitewash.
Yeah, and then just the fact that it exposes the lack of clarity and actual oversight for that whole entity, we might as well go ahead and try to audit the Fed as well, because might
The
as well
thing
just,
is, those governors who were trading, or presidents,
say that
they
again.
actually, the presidents that were caught trading, Kaplan and someone else,
Yeah.
I forgot which. They actually work in the private sector. Because the regional Fed banks, they're corporations. If you look at their titles, they're president and CEO.
Yeah.
So I don't even think they've broken the rules. They do that all the time, and people don't realize. I think the people that are probably not supposed to trade are the people who work at the Federal Reserve Board in Washington, D.C., because that's a government agency. But the Federal Reserve Bank of Dallas and everywhere else, those are just private banks.
Yeah. All right. So we look like we're getting a couple calls there real quick. Let's get the first one. And of course, I think it's LBP. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from? Hello? Maybe not. Let's take another one. All right. Let's see if we get this. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, Mike, this is Ricardo from Texas.
Ricardo from Texas. What's going on, my friend? What's on your mind today?
Real quick. Everybody talked about how, watch out, Deutsche Bank is going to explode, and then we got 2 weeks as it work around the globe.
Yeah.
But it seems like they switched over there to China. So are we on the same time frame since it's on the opposite ends of the world? That's what I got for you. I take my answer off there. Thank you.
All right. Appreciate you.
All right.
Mario, did you get that?
Yeah, who's talking about Deutsche Bank? Yeah, Deutsche Bank.
I thought it was more of a statement, but go ahead.
Yeah, Deutsche Bank has been like a zombie bank for ages, but they just keep it going, don't they? The central banks. And I think what he meant is that for years people have been saying China is going to collapse, and it doesn't. And I tend to agree with him. I would think there's much more trouble in the EU, Western Europe, UK, and the US financial system, the too big to fail banks, than actually in China. So yeah.
Yeah, so I just pulled up because I remember hearing a lot about Deutsche Bank myself, and so just an article here says Deutsche Bank CEO says sorry after critical analyst report. So I'm not sure what exactly he's sorry for, but yeah, Deutsche Bank is still operating, man, and so I wondered have they actually figured out a way to how to work around all that derivatives exposure? Because if I'm not mistaken, from what I've ever hearing about, they were the biggest of the two biggest to fail banks that has the most exposure in the derivatives game. So I wonder how that stuff holding up.
Yeah, I'm not too sure if they're the biggest holders of derivative. I think Goldman Sachs has a lot of derivatives. They all have.
Yeah.
But what's probably happening is the ECB and the Fed, they're buying the securities that is actually helping their books. So they're just on, we're basically bailing them out, the taxpayer, because the more the Fed and the ECB and the Bank of England print to help keep these banks afloat, the less the currency becomes worth.
Yeah, and it's just a matter of time because things will reveal themselves. Anyway, so feel free to give us a call. We had a couple calls that I missed, but give us a call back when we get a couple more thoughts, and then we'll get ready to dial back and keep it moving. What else? What else is hot on the market right now, man? Like I'm thinking, so there was something else I wanted to bring up. I forgot. Shoot, lost my train of thought.
Is that about Ripple and the
yeah. So that Ripple situation, and so yesterday the Ameribor, which is the recent or within the last year, Ameribor was supposed to be the U.S.'s version of establishing interbank lending rates and whatnot, and one thing that I did not know is that they're running on the Ethereum platform, more of a privatized version of the Ethereum platform. And so I was reading up on it yesterday, and it's very interesting how Jerome Powell endorsed the AFX, American Financial Exchange, using Ethereum last year, and it kind of flew under the radar. I didn't see much about it. And so I see why the whole Ripple XRP whole debate about them being a security or not, it appears to be an issue, while XRP is being, having all the court issues, but Ethereum has been cleared. And I wonder, does that have anything to do with the fact that Maribor is running on Ethereum? So
I've heard of SOFR, SOFR.
Yeah. So
is that a Maribor?
Yeah. So SOFR was the first recommendation for how to, diversify away from LIBOR. But then a Maribor has also jumped into the race where
I hadn't heard about a Maribor.
It's a newer one, and it looks like it has a lot of the banking people involved in that. But it's something that I think runs in conjunction with that as well. So I'm not sure if all banks or whatever are partnered up with SOFR or Maribor, but it's running. And then I was trying to find that video real quick for the XRP, so I can share that with you. But for the audience rather. But Catherine Austin Fitz, if I can find it, mentioned about her visit to Denmark and how the U.S. Navy was contracting somebody else, a tech company over there, to build XRP inside chips for the human body or something like that.
That's
and
nice.
that was definitely concerning. But yet you have so many people excited about Ripple. There's a lot of people that want Ripple to succeed as if like they're going to benefit off of it as well. And whenever I hear stuff like that, it really concerns me, because I'm like, that's literally
I was trying to figure out what's going on.
Yeah, I found a video right here, so I'll play it real quick so people can hear.
A year ago, and I was trying to figure out what's going on in Denmark. They had one of the tech firms in Denmark was being paid by the U.S. Navy to come up with a chip that could be implanted in the human body that would integrate with Ripple. Yeah. So Ripple is a crypto, and it's one that's gotten a lot of promotion from the American establishment, in my experience, just my impression. So why is the U.S. Navy paying a Danish tech company to come up with an implantable chip that will integrate with Ripple?
So yeah, that was very disturbing when I saw that. I think that you said that's from earlier this year or something like that. But yeah, it just goes to show crypto has a place well beyond what people think it's for. And it's not for you to profit off of it, that's for sure. But that's very concerning.
I mean, Ripple is still quite cheap, so it might be a punt buy some Ripple. It's, I think, trading around $1.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I think it's more so working. I think in the UK you might be able to buy it over there, but here in the US, there's no exchanges that are allowed to trade it or anything here. So
really? Okay.
Because of all the litigation stuff they're going through.
Yeah, no, I can do it here.
All right, so we got a call here. We'll take this. Hello, caller. Where you calling from?
Hey guys, it's low blood pressure, Corpus Christi. How you doing?
LBP, doing good, my friend. What's up with you?
Okay, I'll ask and then get off air.
Yeah.
If you guys believe if when gold goes to whatever nominal price it's going to go, is it going to retain purchasing power, or is it going to do like in Germany where they say 5 ounces of gold bought a high-class house in Berlin? All right, I'll take my answer off air. Thanks, guys.
Appreciate you. Good question.
Well, I guess if it does buy 5 ounces buys a nice house in Berlin, that means it more than maintained its purchasing power, and it went beyond the normal. We could have, if there is a major crisis, but I would say the window would be a pretty small window, and you'd have to have the gold. I think the story in Germany is a young German was given a $20 gold piece by some American tourists, and he was able to buy during the hyperinflation, which is just under an ounce, $20. It's like 0.9567. He was able to buy like a small hotel in Berlin with that ounce of gold, because the paper money collapsed. Everything was gone. The credit was gone. The only thing left was gold and silver.
Yeah.
So it's possible.
And I wonder, my only concern would be that transaction. Like, so nowadays technology runs everything. So assuming, of course, you'll have, cryptocurrencies that also have the opportunity to do such as well. But just like the paper trail of being able to prove ownership of property in the midst of a complete mortgage housing collapse type of situation, then dealing with the banks themselves, you can't go to the bank and give them 1 ounce of gold and expect to, get a deed clear and title in your possession. So it's like, how would all that work? And that's why I'm thinking, like, no matter what, people might go take that gold and somehow, some way get back into paper and then take it back down to the bank. But then on top of that, the government going to tax it through the wazoo. So it'll be interesting to see how that play out if it gets to that point. Looks like, let me see here. I might have had some difficulties here. Mario, you still there?
Yeah, I'm here. It's just my screen is frozen, it looks like, my picture.
Yeah. All right, that might be the side. So we're approaching our 50-minute mark, but you have some thoughts you want to share on that before we dial back?
About the, I guess if you're going to exchange a gold coin for a house, here in England, when you buy a house, you have to go through lawyers and exchange deeds and everything. I don't know what would happen if they here the gold sovereign is still legal tender, so technically you could still use a gold sovereign to buy property, and I think that's what you'd need to do in the U.S. You'd need to use coins of the realm, like gold eagles or pre-1933 gold coins. They're all legal tender, or at least here they are coins of the realm. But maybe with a gold bar, could be different.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to slide a whole stack of gold coins across the table to the sellers of the house and have them counted and verify it's real. And
yeah. I mean, people get used to it though, and people who might accept gold, they'll accept it because they know about gold already. So they won't have a problem. They will see that it's real.
Yeah. You got to test it on site because right now they got so many fakes out here, I'm sure, because that's a whole nother business in of itself. So it's a matter of trust, I think, when it boils down to at the end of the day. So it'll take some time to verify all that trust when it comes to dealing with physical. But anyway, man, as always, let's get ready to dial back, man. Appreciate everybody for hanging out with us and the feedback in the chat and those questions and whatnot. Mario, let's end on a good note, my friend. Share with us a little bit of a good news on your side and vice versa on mine, and we'll dial back.
Good news. Well, the good news is that I think we still have the capacity just to say no to people who try to bully us, and just to keep going. And someone sent me a message saying, "Oh, you need to be more positive about things," but and I try to. But there's such a concerted effort against our liberties, our property and everything. But I think the good news is that you have to switch off as much as possible, and go the way that you think is right. And at the end of the day, you look outside, the nature is still beautiful. Yeah, that's the thing. Try to do things more outside as well. Be out there in nature and smell the flowers sometimes.
Smell the roses.
Or the roses, yeah,
I agree. And then and on a good note, I think I'm more optimistic nowadays than I was in prior months, just because I see more people waking up here. And when we have entertainers now, not afraid to challenge the status quo and speaking out, we got a hip hop artist that's fairly popular, who's out here tweeting and whatever, and actually waking people up by the millions. So, I think more and more people are coming to the realization that they've been lied to. And I think that's why I'm thinking that whole idea of more information coming out. More people will be exposed for their, criminal nature in politics and entertainment and everything. So I think that's good news, because that definitely derails or slows down the agenda, which is good, because we need as much pushback as possible. More people will definitely question more things going forward and stop believing, these so-called experts and mainstream narratives they're trying to sell us. So the more people speak out and not afraid to keep silent, I think the better. So I'm confident that more people will, because it's literally us versus them. Them meaning the people that's trying to, completely ruin our lives, destroy our livelihood and freedoms and everything else. So we will see. But on a good note, man. I think more people are waking up. So you're doing a good job, Mario.
Thank
of
you.
helping people wake up and unplug.
You too, Mike.
Appreciate you. All right, everybody. Let's get ready to dial back. As always, great. Go check out Manico64 on YouTube. And other than that, Mario, enjoy your weekend as well as everybody else. And we see you guys later. Peace.